So why is housing so unaffordable? Well, one of the reasons, of course, mortgage rates have really increased, but really the number one reason comes back to economics 101, the law of supply and demand. I mean, I learned this as a young kid. I think I grew up in a small farm town. I think I was about 10 years old, and I would run a lemonade stand in the summertime during wheat harvest. In the morning, the price was 50 cents. In the afternoon, it was $1, maybe $1.50, because demand increased because it was hotter. So I learned about this law early on. And then we saw it during COVID, like for example, with car prices. Demand for cars soared because people had more money. We had record low car loan rates, and we had all the supply chain bottlenecks. So car prices soared because of the law of supply and demand. And that's what's been happening with housing for the last 10 to 12 years, of where Fannie Mae had estimated even 3 years ago, back end of 19, that across the country we were short 3.8 million housing units. And it's estimated that number now is at least 4.5 million housing units, both homes for sale and apartments for rent. That we are short over 4 million homes or housing units. You know, the best guess out there nationally is we're short somewhere in the range of 4.5 to 5 million housing units. Here locally in Denver and Colorado, the estimates have been somewhere around 30,000 housing units, according to Colorado State University, to as many as 120,000 housing units, according to Common Sense Institute. So we have this shortage here as well, and this is why home prices have soared, why rents have soared. Just demand has outstripped supply. And why has this happened? It's just so many more households are being formed and more demand is coming. There's a huge surge of demand for housing coming, as we're going to average roughly 4 million to 4.2 million young adults turning of age to rent and to buy a home for the next 23 years. So we have this huge surge in demand for housing coming, combined with a supply that is already 4 to 5 million housing units short. So that just means home prices will probably continue to rise. And you go, okay, why aren't the developers building more housing units? Well, the number one reason by far is they don't have enough people to build them. You know, they're short, well over 100,000 people, 100,000 employees or subcontractors to build homes, to build apartments. And why? Why is there such a shortage of them, of contractors out there? Well, I think it goes back to is our country's educational policy started to change in the 90s, of where our high school started taking out classes on woodworking, shop, mechanical work in the early to mid 90s. Thus, high schoolers are no longer exposed to these trades, and thus don't know that they really even exist, and that there's good income earning and job opportunities in the trades. So we have this shortage of workers, and then it's interesting, our high schools sort of became college prep factories, where they decided, every kid needs to go to college. And so college demand has soared over the last 30 years, which has caused college prices to soar as well. So in a way, the reasons why college is so expensive and housing is so expensive are interrelated. So just think about that. Finally, I will end with this, knowing the supply and demand imbalance. I just believe home prices are going to continue to rise locally and nationally for many, many years, probably decades, like they have before. So if you're a renter, what should you do? I mean, I would tell you, buy a home as soon as you can. Waiting, procrastination pretty much has never paid off in real estate in Denver. So take advantage. Just realize home prices are going to continue to rise. And yeah, it sucks when you're a renter, but you know what? Home prices or home value is rising once you own a home is a great thing, because now your wealth is building and increasing. So if you would like to talk more about this, about starting to build your own wealth instead of your landlord's wealth, just text me 303-881-6374.